Great. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Today, just as the thumbnail and the title suggests, we're going to take a look at a different stance from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen as she talks about crypto and digital assets and really starts to warm up. But it's not just what she says as far as warming up, but the things that she makes a point of saying. So we'll take a look at just what she's talking about. Also, we'll dissect a little bit of the illicit activity and ESG issues that she brings up. It's a valid point, actually. And then also we'll take a look at a new poll that reveals just exactly how early we all are to crypto. Surprise, surprise, we're super early. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the Twitter winners of the Bitcoin conference giveaway. I know some people are blindsided, like, what? Didn't know you were doing that. I did that. And then lastly, we'll take a look at a little Q&A. So 5 questions in 5 minutes. So hold all your questions till the end. We'll get to that at the very last part. And just so you know, right now we're going to take a look at the market quickly. If you're here for the live stream, welcome on a Saturday. Look at you, up and at 'em. Also, if you're watching the replay, just know that everything will be timestamps below, so you can fast forward to where you want to. But it's just easier to watch things in a linear manner because it just goes straight forward. So let's jump into it, huh? This is what's going on with the market. Today, I got to tell you, it's boring. It's another boring sideways days. And I know when we were talking about it and people were saying, but Rob, you don't get it. It's going to be like, this is the first start to a big kickoff. I'm like, no, that's not how it was. We're nowhere, shape, or form away from some huge catastrophic run. Could I be wrong? Sure, it's crypto. Tomorrow the price could be 100,000 per Bitcoin. I have no idea. And guess what? No one else does either. That's the beauty of this whole market. And that's why I just like this magic power called dollar cost average. As the average goes up, that's good. Goes up, I get to sell some things. If it goes down, well, I get to accumulate a little bit more. If I go sideways, I still get to accumulate. But I know in the long run, and we'll talk about this in a bit, I think we're in the right place at the right time. So again, Bitcoin is up a whopping 0.0% in 24 hours. What are we in the NASDAQ? Is this the S&P 500? Geez, this is dull, but it is what it is. Cardano's up. That's good for all you Cardano holders. Let's see. There's always something up in the last 24 hours. Near protocol. See? Yeah, Near. Congratulations, all you Near holders. ICP, 2.6%. Sure. Monero, little for shielded transactions, 3.4%. Good for that. Tezos, which I still own. Don't know why, but I still own it. 7% up. See? Great. And everything is kind of sad. Wow, Zcash also. You know, it's interesting, though. Zcash and Monero, they seem to go hand in hand unless they want to do a little bit more private transactions. That's a story for another day. All right, so that's what's going on in our market. Let's break into what's going on with Janet Yellen. And this was actually from yesterday, right? Today's the 26th, all day the 26th. So this came out and people have covered it a little bit here and there, but there was 2 points to really bring up with what Janet talks about. First of all, she softens her stance, but there's another piece that she talks about later, which I'll let you listen to it. Illicit activity and, of course, the ESG issues. And I'm going to talk to you about how Bitcoin and the electricity use is actually not so much a big deal and where it actually comes from. So first of all, let me have you take a listen. This is just a minute or so you can peruse that quickly. Let me bring this up in the tab so you can actually hear it. And let me mute my mic so you don't hear any.
Through an interview without asking about crypto, but in particular, Russia just said that they would accept Bitcoin as a payment for their energy resources. What does that say to you about where we are in the crypto conversation?
Well, crypto is obviously grown by leaps and bounds, and it's now playing a significant role, not really so much in transactions,
right,
but in investment decisions of lots of Americans. And the president just issued a couple of weeks ago an executive order tasking us and other agencies with thinking about the regulation of crypto.
I mean, you're less skeptical about it than in previous. I mean, we've been talking about it together for a long time now, and I think you've had a skepticism about crypto technology.
I have a little bit of skepticism because there are, I think, valid concerns around it. Some have to do with financial stability, consumer investor protection. used for illicit transactions and other things.
Right.
On the other hand, there are benefits from crypto, and we recognize that innovation in the payment system can be a healthy thing. We would like to come out eventually with recommendations that will create a regulatory environment in which healthy innovation
And
can.
then finally, cyber. So one
So-
thing to worry about, especially.
So right there, that's good, right? She warms up to it. She says, hey, there are some great parts as far as like cross-border payments, remittances. I will let you sound off in the comment section what you believe that to be, or what crypto it could potentially be. I have my own thoughts on that, but I'll let you decipher it. So it's good. It's almost like a little bit of a step in the right direction for what she's talking about. But there is 2 points where she talks about, one, illicit activities. And it seems like we always get daunted, or get haunted, daunted. It's daunting that we have the same type of issue come up again and again and again, illicit activity and cartels and Silk Road and all this stuff. And also she goes on to talk about the ESG movement, as far as environmental, social, and governance. Mostly it kind of goes in line with what this administration is trying to do as far as green energy and things like that. So I'm going to answer both things real quick. So just so you know, there is this great article, or actually it was a survey or a study, that was put out by Michael Morrell. And Michael Morrell is senior counsel, Beacon Global Strategies. He was also the director of the CIA. So if there's anybody who has a good idea about information that's floating around and what to actually get as far as data, probably be that guy. I mean, he is one of those people that gets for as much intelligence as he possibly can. And this was a study back in 2020, so it's not anything new. And I will just say like this. Here's what he found in the whole thing that he took a look at. And this is over quite a period of time. He says, look, based on our research and discussions with industry experts, I have confidence in 2 conclusions. 1, the broad generalizations about the use of Bitcoin in illicit finance are significantly overstated. Okay, so maybe that happens, but as time goes on, won't there be more? Sure, but this is what he says. The blockchain ledger in which Bitcoin transactions are recorded, and all crypto transactions, as far as the main open ledger, is an underutilized forensic tool that can be used more widely by law enforcement and the intelligence community to identify and disrupt illicit activities. Put simply, blockchain analysis is a highly effective crime-fighting and intelligence gathering tool. You can read the whole study. Fantastic stuff that's out there. I link in the description. So every time we hear about this illicit activity, so if you're new to crypto, just know that if I am in the cartel, and surprise, I am not, but if I was, I probably wouldn't want to put any kind of transaction on a public ledger. And the same thing if I was a terrorist. I am also not a terrorist. But if I was, I probably would not want to put those transactions on a public ledger. If I'm trying to avoid taxes, same types of things. So like when we talk about these illicit activities, I think just take a look at the study from a former director of the CIA. So that's the first part. The second part is about the ESG issue and as far as electricity. There's 2 things to this. First of all, this was a great piece, the Cambridge Bitcoin Electricity Consumption Index. And what they took a look at is just the energy consumption for different industries. There was the one thing I really want to make sure everybody knows that it talks about limited data availability. And it states it's surprisingly, hold on, let me blow this up so you can see it a little bit better. Hey, there we go. They say it's surprisingly challenged to find reliable electricity figures about the energy footprint of many industrial and residential activities. Data sets are often non-standardized, produced or maintained by various stakeholders who pursue different interests based on distinctive theoretical models that use widely differing methodologies and assumptions and are limited to a specific geographic area. This leads to conflicting estimates about the same activity that can come in stark contrast to each other. So basically, they do the best they can. Here's the thing. If you take a look at that electricity use and energy use. So energy use, the production is 167 terawatt hours. Electricity is 26,000. What's the difference? Well, energy is what we produce: geothermal, hydro-based, wind. It's what you use to actually create electrical power. Electricity is generated by transforming primary energy sources, wind, nuclear, solar, into electrical power. So just so you know, the total usage, Bitcoin has 0.61%. Not a big deal. So, but if you take a look here, just so you know, Bitcoin takes 136 terawatt hours per year, for the entire year. And gold mining is 131 terawatts per year. Pretty close, actually. And then we take a look at this. Yikes. AC is $21.99. Data centers just around the world, 200. Cement, just cement, 384. Paper and pulp. TVs in the US are 60. Lighting in the US, 60. Well, I like light. So fridges, 104. Iron and steel production, chemicals, copper, and Bitcoin's at 137. So if we take a look at that, we're like, well, that's not so bad. But then the big question becomes, but it's still using electricity, Rob, and that's not great. Well, that's true. However, before we get into that, I want to just make mention of this. What the heck are we using gold for, in all honesty? Because to me, I know gold is great and it's a great store of value and da-da-da, but did you know, this is from gold miners, up to 80% of the gold that is newly mined or recycled is used in jewelry manufacturing. So you're telling me that 131 terawatts per hour is on jewelry. And I'm not saying you can't do that. It's a free market. I don't care what you buy. I don't think I've ever had anything gold, honestly. However, the electronic age, arguably the most important industrial use of gold is the manufacture of electronics. So if it's 80% of gold that is newly mined or recycled is used in jewelry manufacture. And then of course you have gold bars and they store that as a store of value. And then of course they also use that gold in dentistry, which I don't know who's using gold teeth, except Lil Wayne. How much are we really using for these electronics? Because that I think is the big thing, especially the gold bugs will say, but there's an intrinsic value because of this watch, because of this gold in my teeth. Again, I don't see why you're doing that. Or it's because of in this phone. So even in phones and that, can't we use a better way? And then also, like how much it really is it? If it's 80%, and then maybe 5% here and so on and so forth. And then I will just say the bigger issue though is not just about the electricity, but it is where are we getting the electricity? Is it all coal that we're getting to actually mine Bitcoin? Are we using like the dirtiest types of standards? Because someone had a good point. They go, Rob, even if you're talking about how it's not important of how other industries use electricity, the bigger issue we probably should focus on is where are you getting that electricity from? So look, I don't know where everything else is coming from as far in like Kazakhstan. I assume it's hydroelectric, maybe like in China. I have no idea actually. But I know that there is a huge amount of Bitcoin mining going in my great state of Texas. And there was this video, which was actually a while ago. And I had Whinstone CEO Chad Everett on. And when we were talking about it, he said, and this was after the whole video was over, I made mention of this spreadsheet. I asked him, I go, hey man, how much of this is renewables? And he said, he goes, we didn't touch on that, but here's a data sheet of what we use. And of course, in Texas, we have ERCOT, which is the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, which manages the flow of electricity power to 26 million Texas customers, which is, I believe, the lion's share. Represents about 90% of the state's electric load. Why am I telling you this? It's because of this profile right here. Here's the annual energy fuel mix of what we are using in Texas. And this is why I think that miners should just come to Texas and get the hell out of the other countries that are going to boot you out anyhow and just do the right thing. Just come to America. Sorry, I'm a homer. It is what it is. I'm super biased also. So the 2020 annual energy fuel mix is this. And this is all Texas residents, 90%, the other 10%, I couldn't find the data, but 90%, 45% is natural gas. Okay, natural gas, not too dirty. 22% is wind. 18% is coal. Okay, you got me on that one. But we've got 11% nuclear and 2.9% other, which does include solar and things like that. And then and you can take a look here. So I link this in the description below. So when people are talking about, I know it's a long description, but when people are talking about the electronic use or the power usage, the power wattage being used for crypto and Bitcoin mining, just point them to this video and go, look, it's not the most the most awful thing of all time. We actually do use renewable energy. So that ESG issue that all these corporations are raising hell about should not be that big of a thing. Just my humble opinion. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section. Let's move on to our last pieces. There's a poll. There's data. And it states, surprise, that we're super early. So this was a poll from CBS News. And just so you know, it wasn't like a huge, gigantic poll. It's like 2,000 Americans. So not that big. But what I want you to remember is that, like, you coming to this channel, the people around you, they probably know about crypto because you talk their ear off. So you might assume that that everybody knows about crypto and everybody's actually investing into it. No, that paltry 2.08 trillion market cap is nothing. In all honesty, we're super early. Even CZ from Binance CEO said, hey, globally only 3% have invested. So just hold on. I think there's better things to come. So this is what we got on this poll, which I thought was pretty interesting. While 2 in 3 Americans have heard about crypto, just 1 in 5 say they know a lot about it. First of all, if you meet anybody who's like, I know a lot about crypto, they don't know anything. They know very little. There is so much to know. Like, I do this show every day, and I know very little about crypto because there's so many things changing, so many things going on. But But 18% say they have used or invested in crypto themselves. So look at this. How much have you heard about it? 20% says a lot, whatever that is, right? And some, not much, and none. Here's where it gets interesting. Have you invested in crypto? 18%. So even the ones that have a lot, they probably invested into it. And the ones that have heard some, not much, or none, obviously, they're like, no, I've invested into it. And then this was the most telling one. So if you have invested into it, how do you feel? Is it safe or is it risky? Only a third of the people who have actually invested in the crypto said, yeah, totally safe. And the other 2/3 are like, no, it's like super risky. So, and then of course, the ones that only heard about it, they think it's like the most risky thing of all time, which I think is the same type of thought process people thought about buying things on the internet back in the early 90s. I don't know if you remember those times, but everything was a scam. You couldn't buy anything on there. It was just hackers trying to take your credit cards. So here we are about this. But I will say one thing, though, is this part about the people who do invest in it, they say it's risky. It is risky. I mean, as far as like the volatility, but as far as like being hacked and those types of things, it's actually pretty darn safe to do it if you just don't get into like some super crazy positions. And I will let you talk about that in the comments. I talk about it to death, but I just think if you're going to buy things, just pick a reputable exchange, take it off the exchange, put it in a cold storage, leave only what you feel like you want to leave on the exchanges, and you'll be okay. Just take some precautionary steps. If you want to learn those steps, go to danteachescrypto.com. It's 100% free. And I got a basics. The very first section is all about the basics of what you need to know. So just check that out. But on this, back to this topic, even people who invested are like, no, it's super risky. I think it's volatile, but I mean, in all honesty, and we'll get to this in a second, what else are you going to get into? So to finish it up, who's invested in crypto? Are you under 50K? 16%. If you make 50K to 100K, about a quarter, 100, 150, 24, and 150K. So it looks like the lion's share of people make above 50K. But again, if you're making under 50K, I've been there. Trust me. And it's tough. But as time goes on, the money that you have, it kind of evaporates thanks to inflation. And who's invested in crypto? Here's the age groups. This one right here, age 65 plus, this is where the majority of all the money is in the United States, which is the boomer population. And 11%, that's where all the money is. As this starts to flow this way, you will see an increase in what's going on, or in revenue generation as far as crypto. And again, this survey was from almost 1,980 U.S. adult residents between January 27 and 31, 2022. So I just want to talk to you about this very quickly. See this part right here? Who's invested? And then how risky is it? My question is this: what else are you going to invest into? And I'm just going to tell you, before I go down this rabbit hole, this is just investment opinion, not investment advice. But this is an old one. I don't know what the price are. I think it's like 2 years old. But if you invested $1,000 in Bitcoin 10 years ago, because people always talk about, well, just get a stock market, S&P 500. That's true. Very safe. The last year was a killer year, 23%. Watch out. But if you invested $1,000 10 years ago in crypto, I don't think you'd have 237 million. Let's just say you have 100 million, right? Let's just say 100 million, because this is like a couple of years old. But with Google, you'd only have 6K. Facebook, 9K. Amazon, 22K. Netflix, 34K. Tesla, pretty good. 159K. Might be a little bit more, but again, where's the fastest horse that we talk about? And then also, if you think about, well, I'll just do what my grandparents told me to do or my parents told me to do, which is just save it. Well, here's the thing. The purchasing power of the dollar is going down, and the reason why is because we're printing so much. If you keep printing money, it only makes sense that you can't dilute the entire massive amount of dollars that are in there, and which contributes to the weakening dollar and, of course, inflation. And I want you to remember this. You have to take a screenshot right now, send it to all your friends. Inflation robs you. This is on the very top right, top left, 1980, 2000, 2022. For $20, you could buy a boatload of groceries in 1980. In 2000, a little less. And today, not too much. And if you live in Puerto Rico, you can't buy squat because $20 is not going to get you too far, especially with the import taxes. Just letting you know. I don't know what it's like in Hawaii or different places, but $20 in a grocery store, I don't know what you can get these days. Not near like you could do in 1980. But compare that to one Bitcoin in 2011, which was... I don't know, like less than 100. It was like worth $40, maybe 20 to $40. Wasn't that much, right? And then it says in 2018, one Bitcoin gets you a car. I don't think that's true. I don't think one Bitcoin in 2018. Hold on, let me see something. Bitcoin max out. Here's 2018 on this side. The price for Bitcoin in 2018 was between $14,000 and $3,600. So I guess I could get you a car, but probably used. That's about it. And then on the right-hand side, actually, hold on. You can't see this. That's why. Brand and banners. Let me stop this. There we go. Now you can see it. So 2018, it could buy you a car, but probably a used car. Not a bad one. And then 2030, what could Bitcoin buy you? I will tell you this right now in 2022, Bitcoin's at what, 43,000? One Bitcoin can get you a pretty damn nice car or a nice truck. So I'm just saying. And then 2030, who knows what it's going to be. So again, what can you invest into? What about gold? Well, let me tell you, gold, let's back up, shall we? In a month, gold's doing pretty good. I must admit. Well, not that good. It topped out at 2045 on March 8th, and now we're at 1970. So it's going down. But in 3 months, not too bad, right? It was somewhere around here, 17, almost $1,800. It peaked out at 2,000. So what is that, like 8% increase? Great, good for you who are investing into gold. How about a year? I guess down here, 1,700 to 2,000. So again, maybe like, I don't know, 10%, 12%. Again, good for you. 5 years? Okay. 1,200 to almost 2,000, depending. So what is it, 20% or whatever it is. And then how about if we take a look at all? Okay. If you're willing to wait around from 1992, where it was $300, to go to 2,000, that's a pretty good deal. However, I don't know about you, but I don't want to wait 30 years for that. And of course, if you want to wait 10 years, well, 10 years was kind of what the price was last time, 1,700 to 1,900. So again, what are you going to invest into? It's all up to you. I don't tell you what to invest into. I can tell you what I invest into. Crypto, digital assets. I also own some stocks. I do own Amazon, Tesla. I own a little gold and silver because why not? But I'm not putting my entire wealth behind it. And of course, property. Property's been very lucrative, but that's a time frame game. So that's what we got. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Let's finish up with Twitter winners for the Bitcoin conference. So I just kind of threw this out there. This is the Bitcoin conference. Looks fun, I guess. I'm not going to attend, but people want to go, and that's cool. So I just did a little survey. I said, hey, if you get a free ticket to the April 6th through 9th Miami Bitcoin conference, would you actually go? Because that was the thing for me. Like if I do a random drawing right now and I send it to you, how many of you would actually go and pay for a flight and a hotel and actually go to Miami? I'm just curious. Let me know in the comments, because when I did this poll, half of the people were like, I'm not going, man. I am not going to that. Even if you give me one for free, I still got to pay for the flight. I still got to pay for the hotel. And guess what? I'd rather just put that into Bitcoin or my favorite altcoin. And that makes sense to me, actually. I'm like, why would you want, I guess to like mingle with people, which would be fun. But no one's going there for the news, because as soon as the news breaks, people like me are already on it talking about it. So I just asked the question, who wants it? And a lot of people were like, well, Dez is like, no, meeting up with us people I met last year, space, absolutely. So he would go. Chef says, I can't do that. And then Valstrex said, yes. Chad said, definitely. Guitar player Noah. At first, I thought I might, but the more I read about what was going on there and who speakers and musical guests were, I was put off. And then why was it? And a lot of people are like, no, I'm in Australia. I'd bring my 3-year-olds in. No, sell, buy more Bitcoin. Jason Denaro, I would. I don't have the money. See, this is the one. I don't have the money for the flight. No, because my US visa is expiring. And then Crypto Nomad says, I'm still covered with crin from the last one. Almost have to wash it off a year later. So again, if I would have done a random thing and given this away, people are like, I'm not going. So what's the point? So I'm going to tell you the winners are, but first, just so you know, well, actually, just so you know, I want to say thanks to iTrust. iTrust, you get a Roth IRA. I've been with them for 2 years. It's great. Everything you buy in your Roth IRA, when you actually want to take it out at $859.5, it's 0.0% capital gains tax. So if you buy Bitcoin at $40,000, you put into your iTrust Roth IRA, and then you wait 5 years or 10 years or whatever else it is, guess how much you pay in capital gains? 0. So that's why I like iTrust. Works very well, very safe, never been hacked. Also uses Coinbase custody. Same thing with institutional investors. So I like that. Also, there is no more monthly fees. So the $20 monthly fees is gone. And then lastly, just so you know, if you want to, there is a limit to how much you can actually put into your Roth IRA. So for each year. But if you do it before April 15th, you can actually retro from 2021. And then on April 16th, you can put in another X amount of dollars and claim it for this year. So that time limit is coming up. If you want to figure all that stuff out, there is a link in the description. Looks just like this. I did a video on why I use it, why I still use it. And even though I'm in Puerto Rico, because there's no capital gains tax, they're still talking about getting rid of Act 60. So I want to cover all my bases. That's why I still have that. So thanks to iTrust Capital for the winners. Here's the 2 winners. It was Val's Tracks plays Teppen. I just like the way you said it. And Val's Tracks, I just want you to know, I'm following you now, so you can DM me on Twitter, and it'll go right to my mailbox. If you're not following me and someone creates Val's Tracks plays Teppen, it'll go to people I don't follow, so don't even try it. And then also, where was the other person? Here it is. Jason Denaro. Congratulations. So you're also the winner. So just DM me. I'll put you in through with iTrust, and you guys can go from there. 2 free tickets. Congratulations. That's it. All right. Man, that went long. So look, that's it for the news. Thanks so much for sticking with me. I appreciate it. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down. Just let me know why. Let's go into Q&A, and we'll get going from there. Whew, 30 minutes is a long one. Here's the starter ones. First of all, Kava Kid, thanks for waking up at midnight for the stream. That's crazy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Mark says Bitcoin is rapidly looking to be a secondary global reserve for the US dollar. That'd be great. Russia just announced the sale of its oil reserves for Bitcoin and possibly gold rather than dollars. Yes, and that's what Janet Yellen was even asked about in that interview. I think that's interesting. But again, it only makes sense. We have to have something neutral. Why would anybody... Look, I'm not going to use a digital yuan as a CBDC. I don't care. Even with my Amazon business, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to use a digital ruble. And I'm probably not going to use a digital dollar. That's just it. So that's just me. I think a lot of people, especially in America, won't use a digital ruble or a digital yuan as far as the CBDC. So I think we need something a little bit neutral. And guess what? There is no CEO of Bitcoin. You can't go to Satoshi's office and say, hey, shut this down. So I think, yeah, why not? Somewhat of a reserve currency. That's what Luna's doing. They're using that as their backup. Just like how we used gold back before the 1970s to back the US dollar. I like that. J-Dog, Everdome plus Hero. I did a deep dive on those. I think it can be pretty good. Would love for Dan's dog to drop in the deuce while he's talking. Yeah, it's Chewy. Usually they just kind of zip by. Not a green screen. That'd be nice, huh? Only Prodigy use Everdome? Sure. Swamp Rat says, I'm not bored. I see green yesterday. I see red today. I like today. That's the same thing with me. I know people, they see red, things go down. I'm like, damn it, this sucks. This is the worst. For me, it's just another day. 30%, 40%, 50% drops. I'm ready for them. That's when you know you've been a little bit too long. All right, let's see what we got. What happened to Trade the Chain? Do you still use them? I don't know. Those guys don't even do videos anymore. So I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. That's a good question. Christian says, will CBDCs use Bitcoin as a reserve currency? That'd be interesting. Because, I mean, look, that's exactly what Luna's doing. They're using that to validate, to prop up their UST, their stable coin. So couldn't you just back it against them? I mean, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, let's be honest. But it is an interesting thought process. I don't even want to use the dollar. Let me ask you guys something real quick, and gals. Who here, when's the last time you used paper money? I'm just curious. I don't ever. It's all debit cards. It's all debit and electronic transactions. It's all zeros and ones on a computer. I don't ever use dollars. Thanks, Des. Let's see. So this is a good question. Rob, you love passive income, but seem to not be into DeFi despite APR. Great on these sideways days. Plus learn how to use and get a feel of the protocols. Why not? I just, right now, I just don't get into it. Like I know that I can go to Anchor Protocol. Seems to be everybody's greatest love story and get that 19% right now, which is not sustainable. Let's be honest. And it'll go down. But I mean, I can do all those plays and I could earn some yield on the DeFi side. I could. I just have a bad taste for DeFi right now. It just seems like there's a rug pull around every corner. And I think like I'm in that position right now for me where I'm just like, I just don't really need a ton of APY. I'll put things on Celsius and I'll leave things on Voyager, and seems to be close to what I get. I mean, like I know, like for like my USDC, I get like between 9 and 11% just for having USDC. So why not? And then Polkadot, I want to say it's like 13 or 14. It's like ridiculously high. So I'm just like, I'll just do that. Now, could I do the other DeFi plays? I could. Then I got to switch them all around and keep track of all those things. And I'm just not really into it. But not to say that you shouldn't or couldn't. It's all up to you what you want to do. I just don't. All right. Putin has started de-dollarized. Yeah, sure. Good luck for him. Well, that's so weird. I buy weed with paper money. The places that I've learned or lived. I lived in Las Vegas for a couple of years. Marijuana is legalized. Puerto Rico, marijuana is legalized here. The last place, of course, Texas will be the last state to legalize it. But I mean, Colorado and different places, in Nevada, California, it's all legal. So it's just so weird when like people like Flat Smack here has to buy weed with paper money. It's just odd. But I guess in all, the other part of that is, of course, that organizations, they can't use banks because of purchasing marijuana, which is the dumbest thing of all times. All right. I use cash, but then I'm Swiss. All right. Do you like stocks? Very few. Or stacks, which is the smart contract for Bitcoin? Yes. It's also the one for City Coins. I'd like to actually interview those guys and bring them on here because I think the different cities that I'm going to be hopping around to, I'd like to talk to people in the cities about that. Rob, a lot of people, question number 3, I think. A lot of people recommend holding crypto in cold wallets. However, I can't follow a wallet that can hold various crypto ideas. Depends on the crypto itself, right? So Ledger will hold a whole ton of them. And most of the ones are ERC20s. You can also look at Treasury. That's another cold storage one. But and then also, unfortunately, sometimes these new projects, these DeFi projects, these crazy ones out there, they're not going to be applicable to certain wallets. I know because I've run into that problem myself. And in that situation, you have to, there is no other alternative but to leave it on the exchange or in your MetaMask wallet. And that's what it comes down to. So that is being a pioneer in the space. I use cash in there. Yeah, I use it too. Tips, but I don't even do that anymore. Yeah, that's a good. Charles says cash is much faster when you want to make a quick exit from a bad restaurant. You know what cash is also good for? Can't trace it. It's great. There was a time of a person who owned a sports facility, and he would take nothing but cash, and it was untraceable, and it was great. That's all I'm saying. But now, of course, that person does use electronic transaction, which are all in the system. Okay. And last question. Next meetup is Wednesday at Smokehouse. So the Puerto Rico meetup will be this Wednesday coming up, and I'm going to take a look at some food trucks. There's a big food truck area which sells some really apparently great food, and they serve beer as well. So I think I'm going to do a different place because we've done the Smokehouse like 3 times in a row, and even the owner's like, "Hey man," he's like, "I love you when you guys come here, but if you guys do it someplace else, I'm not going to object, so I can get out of my own place." So we'll get out of that place and we'll do it someplace a little bit different. But it'll be close. It'll be close to there, and we'll go from there. All right. So look, we're coming up at 38 minutes. This is way too long. So everybody, thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate it. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Tell me why. Consider subscribing. Everything we talk about is very time sensitive, and that's it for today. So thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Adios.